mute yourself.
for your time and for your efforts and for volunteering, for being a speaker in this session. So we have been running this series called Agent Workbench for the past two sessions. I believe I got in touch with Mr. Joao. I don't know how to pronounce your name
Yeah, that was
correctly.
very good actually.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm glad. So, and unfortunately, he got in touch with me over LinkedIn, and that is how I came to know about DMM. And of course, there are people who already know about this tool, but there are many like me who are still not aware. And this session primarily focuses towards bringing that awareness, and also how can we make sure that our AI agents consume safe plus production realistic data, as the title of the session goes. So maybe, yeah, we have around 8 participants. Usually we have around 20, since it's a Chennai OutSystems user group event. So usually around goes till 30. So we'll wait for another minute, maybe, Bruno. Maybe we can just go ahead with your introductions in the meantime while the others join.
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation to present here in your group. I've been working with OutSystems for over 10 years now, and we are very happy to be able to showcase here our tool. And it was actually in the last event of OutSystems 1 here in Lisbon, where we are based, that João noticed that we had this additional use case for DMM related to the agent workbench, and that to workable AI agents, there were advantages in terms of using DMM for that. So, yep, very happy to be here.
So yeah, my name is Joao. I work with Bruno, of course, at InfoSistema at the sales department, and yeah, I've been working closely with the DMM for some time, and I'm glad to let people know about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rao and Bruno. And yeah, so usually here, when it comes to the user groups initiative, Chennai user group is one among the user groups which hosts the highest number of sessions every year. And we usually get in touch with people, or people like you volunteer, and we host the sessions at the earliest possible way. Now, if this session is definitely, is definitely, we can consider this to be an icebreaker. But if we see real good response, then it'll be really, it will be great if we can have a following session to it if needed. So, yeah. Mm, okay, so maybe I can get started. It's been 3 minutes since our scheduled time. So,
I did
please,
using AI, an agent of AI. I did a quick presentation. Can I share some slides just
please
to
go
give
ahead.
some visual support?
Yep.
I think they are online, so you are seeing them, right? Yep. Okay.
Yes, we
Yep.
can see it.
So the idea for this presentation is to make people aware that of security. Obviously, there are many things that OutSystems does for ourselves, and people don't need to have a background in security. Sometimes across other technologies, there are many things that are critical, and in OutSystems, the platform itself takes care of several issues. But thing is, every time you add a new channel to your institution, you basically add a new attack surface. So a new way for people to access the data inside your corporation. And I've been working for over almost 25 years now in the tech industry. And I've seen things like I started working in banking, so highly dependent on security and with everybody trying to attack and getting money from everybody else. So I think I've seen things from evolving from the branches, physical branches and security like policemen and things like that in the physical world into the home banking sites, so into the web. Then 15 years ago, starting to going mobile. I've seen in other industries things related to IoT, and now we are seeing this new attack surface that is AI. So when you expose AI agents, a chatbot, even something as simple as that, you are having another attack surface, another way for people to interact with your company. And in that regard, it's a new way for extraction of information, which should not be extracted, or for even executing operations you don't want to be executed. So this is the main, I would say, worry or attention call that I would like to talk in this session. There's a paradox relating to what we see as AI agent development. And this is something that happens, and many of the things that I'm talking now today are not specific for OutSystems, which is the fact that when you are building an AI agent, you need the agent when you are doing the prompt engineering. And I'm going to assume if you are in this session, you are already knowledgeable of Agent Workbench, of what an AI agent is. So I'm not going into detail over that. Feel free to interrupt me if that's needed. But I'm going to assume you already have those basics of what's an AI agent, how do large language models operate, how can you deploy in Agent Workbench an agent and everything. So when I'm talking about building AI agents, I'm going to say that you need to ground them on your business data in many use cases where you need them to either operate or give feedback on your business data. You need to do prompt engineering, so you need to basically edit your prompts and validate them and interact them, so you reach that perfect prompt that will create the return that you are expecting from the agent. And all of that to happen needs to have good data in variability, good data in volume. So you need to have that production data available, but you cannot have it exposing real sensitive information from persons, following compliance rules. So you don't want to leak like social security numbers or credit card numbers and things like that, because that's very sensitive. But you need to have the agent accessing your real production data so it works, so it knows what you want it to do. So this is like a paradox. It needs the data, but it cannot have the data due to security reasons and compliance reasons. Following up on this, there's another challenge, which Krishna also mentioned a scope of this quick presentation, which is the issue of the cost that has developers and solutions you have regarding using poor data. And this is something that happened to me like 15 years ago. I saw, not in my teams, but I was called to South America on a situation. And it was basically something that happened in a major telecom client, that they were deploying some new features in their online portal, and they were selling stuff, so like a marketplace. And when they deployed the solution, the update of their solution in the marketplace, what they noticed is the sales that were being done dropped to zero. And they just noticed it when it went into production, and like 2-3 hours afterwards, somebody noticed, well, nobody's buying anything. And this is like a huge telecom, so it was common for people to start buying in their online portal. And something that happened was that the checkout process had like a combo box in terms of user interface, user experience, where you would select your product that you wanted to acquire. And in dev and in test, it had half a dozen products. But when it went into production, there were over 1,000 products. So people were not able to execute the checkout. So people might say, oh, it worked in dev. This was a user experience problem, not my thing. Somebody should have looked into that. I believe that increasing your I'm going to say experience and maturity, even as developers in whatever technology you are working on, you have to be worried about delivering something in the full scope of what you are doing. So you have to have a holistic view of everything, including validating that what is it that the scripts, the product that you are building will work in production according to the best objectives of your company. So answers like, oh, it worked in my environment, I don't have that data, I wasn't able to check that out, or I built this beautiful page that uses in OutSystems 6 or 7 aggregates that in development or testing work, but go in production and then the page takes 30 seconds to load. Things like that are basically a cost for your company. And so you should obviously have the way to work in an environment that gives you early warnings about these types of issues and these types of problems.
Bruno, let me just add that in this case, for example, there is a major red flag that gives a sense of urgency to everyone around. But sometimes that is not the case. Even if something is going on, you cannot actually tell. But with good data, you can actually control all the environments much better.
Exactly. So it's the way that you can replicate issues faster that happen in production and guarantee, for example, that they are solved in a quick way, and you don't say, oh, it's solved, goes into production, your solution, and then it's not yet solved, and the client comes and says, oh, it's still, the issue is still there, and you solved something else, and because you were not able to replicate it correctly.
Yeah, and even to have a sense of relief, so that everything is set with all the right data, so you don't need to be searching for these mistakes further along the process actually.
Yeah, you can have it right at the development environment and not wait for testing
Exactly,
to do it.
exactly.
Yeah. So this is the, I'm gonna say, holy grail. So it's, the objective is to have in your as early as possible. So I'm gonna say in your development environment, something that is very similar to what happens in production, but without the risk of compliance and security. This is valid for AI now, extremely, but also for other standard procedures of development. So regarding AI, what DMM acts here and what the tool will provide is a way to filter and provide your AI agent with your raw O11 data, giving it the full context to your AI agent in terms of partner patterns, relationships, volume of data, making it grounded and avoiding hallucinations, but at the same time guaranteeing that that data is anonymized, scrambled before it leaves the O11 database, making sure that you are compliant, which I believe, and I'm hearing several OutSystems partners and clients saying, yeah, we wanted to deploy AI agents and agent workbench, but we are having to see things regarding security, regarding compliance. Well, this is a way for you to put a check on those requirements. So allows you to preserve the integrity of the data without having the risk of making internal confidential data available either in lower environments or for your AI agents. The second thing is that I was mentioning is this recurrent data refresh. So getting your good production data anonymized with high volume into lower environments. It will also allow you to optimize your Q&A time. So people that have testers dedicated to creating test cases, they can basically do them faster if they have all those test cases already in your production environment. So you just copy the data, and in minutes you have all the test cases that you may want. We know that nobody creates strange situations as well as users. We have our happy paths doing.
The ultimate testers.
Yeah, they are the ultimate testers with everything that they do. So you can optimize this happy path and your tests. You can replicate issues faster if they happen, and make sure they are corrected when you say they are corrected. And you basically shift left, which is something that OutSystems usually says a lot, which is try to shift left your development. So bring issues and things earlier to the attention. So when you develop, you are developing it already taking into account the volume of data that exists in production. For example, when you are building your aggregates in OutSystems and you are building your pages, and you are seeing things similar to what user built or made in production environment. In terms of anonymization available through the DMM tool, we have 4 different types of anonymization possible. One is to scramble information. So it's basically creates new data. For example, looking at my email, my email is bruno.costa@infosistema.com. Well, it will see that there's like a string of characters, a point, another string of characters, there's an @ and then there's another string of characters .com. Well, perhaps it will mix up and match, and it will put my first name, João's second name, perhaps instead of @infosistema, it will put @gmail from somebody else, and it will create new data based on the existing data. This is very good for testers because the data still looks good, still looks like real data, but it's not real data, so you don't have any confidentiality issues. The second option is to anonymize. Anonymize is replacing the data with completely random characters. Sometimes this is the best because it's a highly sensitive field. You know what? Full obfuscation, irreversible obfuscation. You can also use replace. So either through a static value, so all records that are being migrated have always in that field the same information, or use a regular expression for that. For example, masking credit cards, where you want to leave the last 3 digits but put some asterisks in the others. Or you can ignore that field, that specific field. Imagine, for example, you in OutSystems, you have some fields that are binary. You are keeping binary information very heavy into the database. You don't want that in your lower environments. You have that in production, but you don't want those terabytes of data in the lower environments. And so you say, okay, I'm going to copy the record, but don't copy the binary field. Just put it at null. So you can still have all the complexity of the data, but you are not increasing the space of your database.
Let me just add that in these particular cases, so you can actually select what kinds of data you want to anonymize and how. So it doesn't have to be all the data or anything. You can actually personalize it to your will.
Yeah, it's like field by field that you identify that you can do this. I'm going to show a demo, and then people can also see that. Thanks, João. The real world impact of this. Every year we get like 2 or 3 clients that come directly to us because they've put something in production that broke the environment. Usually performance related, like I was mentioning, some aggregates, some pages that were loading and taking a lot of time to do it. Things like clients that start increasing the number of applications they have in OutSystems. So, and suddenly they have like critical applications, client facing in the same pipeline that has internal applications. And they perhaps deployed something on an internal application that takes so many resources of the environment that it slows down the full environment and affects the critical out-facing application. And they say, okay, now we have to guarantee when we are doing tests and when we are building our applications that have these specific performance tests that we can do in the quality environment, pre-production, or even in dev. So we need to have a copy of production data into those lower environments. People building AI agents, obviously something for the past 3 months that's speeding up. They will need and are needing and are reporting that grounding is for, well, with Agent Workbench, grounding is being now used, but AI agents have been built in other technologies prior to OutSystems providing Agent Workbench, and grounding is basically something that's critical for improving the quality of the responses that an AI agent can give. So ground the agents in your own data, in your own business data. So whatever feature the agent is supposed to do is based on your information, on your specific context. And finally, the speed in terms of development, that's one of the major points for OutSystems and for everybody to be working in this platform. And obviously, if we speed up a lot the development with OutSystems, but you still have to do tests. You still have to do bug fixing. And if something is developed and goes into testing and then has to go back to the developer to correct something, or happens to go with a bug into production and has to go back to a developer to fix it, we are losing time. So all these issues that are data related, basically what DMM will allow is a increased speed on your whole operation. It's basically DevOps that's been around for over 30 years in other technologies. Now, in which the OutSystems platform already provides a big improvement out of the box, DMM increases that. And things like I was mentioning before, the speed, the time that it takes to create test cases, well, let's just use the ones that the production environment has. We have several hundreds of deployments actually of DMM, several dozens of comments regarding it from happy clients and partners, including some of them like Sia here from India. Different use cases in terms of data management. So I'm talking here about AI agents and DevOps in terms of improving your practice, but there are other use cases for the tool. What I wanted to show you then, also OutSystems themselves use the tool, and I don't know if something that people are aware or not, but OutSystems professional services, so OutSystems themselves, when they are, for example, migrating people that have clients, OutSystems clients that have on-prem installations and they want to put them on the cloud, on the OutSystems PaaS cloud, O11 PaaS cloud. I'm talking about O11 here. OutSystems uses our tool to migrate the client's data from their on-prem infrastructure to the O11 cloud infrastructure. DMM is used by them for this. So there's no better reference than themselves. If there are no questions for now, I would like to show the tool itself. Okay, Krishna? Yeah.
Sure, Bruno. I just have one question. So, how is DMM different from any ETL platform then?
Perfect. Well, one thing is the speed that you have, and the other is in terms of ETL, you have dozens of platforms for ETL. When you are talking about low code, there's an issue, which is you don't control the database. So the persistence layer, where the data, the business data is stored, is the platform itself that controls it. So this happens in OutSystems and happens in any low-code platform. You go to Mendix, you go to another low-code or no-code platform. Part of the speed you get from using OutSystems in terms of development is that you don't have to worry or to think about how will I build a table, how will I make a foreign key or a connection between entities. You just do you are in an higher abstraction layer, guaranteeing you don't need to worry about those low-level things. What this means is when you want to do, and like with any other ETL tool, and set up a data migration, you have to go down into that low level part, and you will find things like, well, sometimes you delete a field from an entity, but the column in the table is still there. You create a new entity in an environment, and it has its data persisted in a specific table with specific columns. You publish that application in a new environment, perhaps the table name is different, and perhaps the column names are different, because the platform controls that persistence layer, which means that you can use any other ETL tool, yes, if you have direct database access to read and write information, but it's much more complex. I mean, in 60 seconds, you can set up and execute a data migration with DMM. It takes many more time and many more knowledge to use another ETL tool. And then there's the issue of things like, for example, the sequence of things that you have to migrate. So if I have an entity for my client, and then I have the orders, and then I have the order details, so I have to start by copying data from client, then orders, then order details. And if the order details happens to have a foreign key back to clients for some reason, so if I have circular references, perhaps I have to set up that ETL tool to do an initial insert of a record and then go back to the inserted record to update IDs, for example, to have that circular reference. So there are lots of situations or issues with using standard ETL tools when you are working at a low code level and at a higher abstraction layer. DMM, available on the Forge, is specific for OutSystems. So it works at that high abstraction layer that you have in OutSystems, and tells you you don't need to know where the tables are, in which schema of the database. You don't need to know the queries like NoSQL to execute and use DMM and so forth.
Bruno, we have a question
Okay.
here. I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to answer it now, but
sure.
the question is there any limitation on the volume of data DMM can handle? And I can give that answer.
No.
We don't have a limitation. We work on subscription plans, and yeah, we don't have a limitation if that is the
Yeah.
chosen license.
Yeah, like if you can see, we have a site online where you can see about
Yeah,
that,
everything is
but
available.
both in terms of the pricing, there's a free, but you have like comments here of people migrating 3 million records, and OutSystems does hundreds of millions of records when they are migrating full clients into the cloud. So the tool itself does not have any limitation. The subscription plans themselves have limitations. The free plan, for example, up to 10,000 records per year or 1,000 records per execution. So
We have
doing a
another
demo.
one, Bruno,
Yeah.
before the demo, maybe. The question is, will it be useful when we want to move prod data to UAT environments in OutSystems? And the answer is a straight yes.
Yeah.
That is the actual main use of the DMM tool, so that you can get realistic data, in this case, prod data to UAT. So that will allow you to test better. That's probably why you asked, and yes, the answer is a straight yes.
Yeah. So this is the component deployed on one of our development environments here in the OutSystems Cloud. And you see different features or capabilities here, main features that it has. And picking up on that question as well, so for data migration between OutSystems environments, you basically always follow the same type of process, which is you define a configuration and then you execute that configuration. Defining the configuration, you start by defining where is it that you want to, in this case, it's a migration between two OutSystems environments. So I define the two connections that I have. And then I can go application level, which would say just migrate everything from an application, or I clicked module level, so I can select which entities I want to migrate. I'm going to search here for a testing entity that I know that has testing data. And so I basically see the modules and I can select the entities that are available here. When I select an entity here, like this account private, DMM automatically does that detection of dependencies and says, look, you selected one entity, but this entity depends on another entity that depends on another entity. And so he added all of those entities into the selected list. So I have a consistent data being migrated, a consistent data set with all the dependencies. Let me search here for something that has private data, like person data. And the final configuration screen allows you to save the configuration. So I could say it, give it some name. There are lots of options, BPT migrations, Delta, incremental. I'm going to look at user anonymization, for example, where you can say, I want to anonymize usernames, I want to anonymize names or mobile phones, and I can do it replacing it by null, like I was saying, or a specific value, like I can put my phone number here. If you guys want to call it, take a print screen and call me. So you can basically keep adding the fields in terms of the users that you want to anonymize in some way. Apply these changes, yes. And you can also go to your own data and say, oh, I have in my business data here in the person data, I have this email field, and I want, like I mentioned, I want to scramble it. So create a new data based on the patterns, and this will work on names, emails, addresses, or I want to anonymize it with a completely random string of characters, what I mentioned before. You select and you can go field by field and select what type of anonymization, like João was saying, you want for that. Again, you can edit the configuration, keep saving it with the changes that you do, or just continue and then execute it. That's migration. I'm going to confirm it. Yes, this is a development environment, and I will start the migration. What this does is it creates, it sets up in the OutSystems environment the configuration that I did, and there's a timer that's queued, and then the DMM application uses OutSystems timers to run that timer and execute that migration.
And maybe to make it a little bit even more interesting for everyone, maybe if this sounds like something that has been a challenge in the past or you faced certain situations, let us know so we can talk about it to add to the topic.
Yeah, so this is running on the OutSystems. You can go back here. It's running on the OutSystems server. When there are errors, it shows you what happened in the errors. So I have here down here the error details. So I was migrating data into a database that already had data, and I did not set up the unique constraints in that configuration. So I would have to go into the configuration, set up those unique constraints. There's a button there to do that, and then I would basically guarantee that it would be updated. Would go here into my configurations, select that configuration. I can validate it, that it's still valid, because I may have changed the application between the times that it was saved and now. So I have here set user mapped tables based on database unique indexes, and I can press here and it will tell me, yeah, I will set up this user mapped table. So yeah, this is like testing data, so testing entities. So this entity has a unique index on this field. So I will set up that unique. And this, so you see, this is very easy and fast to, it gave me an error, told me what I had to do. I forgot to set this up, and then I can just execute it again, and it will now execute the migration. Any questions?
So one more question, Mr. Bruno. When we are doing this migration, is it a prerequisite for the entities to be created in the target environment, or will it automatically create the entity if the entity is not available?
No, if you are doing a data migration between OutSystems environments, you already have to have the destination database. So in the entity has to be there. So when I'm selecting this, and DMM is automatically detecting all applications that exist on both environments. So it tells me these 24 applications from which I can select modules and entities are applications that exist in both environments. So the entity has to exist in both environments. If I'm doing a data export, for example, for the case of building an external database that my agent Workbench will access, the process is exactly the same in terms of steps. I say I'm going to export data from my, can even be production database, and I say I want to export it to a non-OutSystems database. So it's an external database that will have my anonymized information. And I'm going to select that. And here I don't have to have the, and I already have 41 applications. So remember, I have in the migration, I had 25. Here it shows 41 available applications because I'm just exporting from this environment. And this environment has 41 applications. So I can go and search for that testing application again. And here, so there's the destination can be empty. There's no need for, okay, there's dependencies for the destination to have the tables already created there, because DMM will create, if they don't exist, the tables on the destination. So if it's migrating between environments, yes, they have to be there. If it's just exporting the entities, you basically don't need it, because DMM then will create the needed needed tables in the destination. You can define yourselves, or you can just say create the tables with the entity names if they don't exist, and DMM will create each entity with its own entity name in this case. Or I can come here and say whatever, and then it will create the table with this specific name in the destination.
Noted, Bruno. And one other question, Bruno. So build this. I heard you saying that this is not only specific to OutSystems, right? Even for other low-code platforms, we can continue using the DMM tool.
No. This is DMM because it's this high abstraction layer of working with the OutSystems database. It's specific for OutSystems. What you can do is export the OutSystems data to a non-OutSystems database, like a SQL Server. I have like a reporting database or an external database where I want my AI agents to be grounded, or to do the prompt engineering of AI agents. Then I can create that database that will serve the AI agent and define, for example, I configure here an export and I schedule it to be updated, have clients updating external databases like data lakes every 15 minutes. They run DMM on a timer and it runs here in the scheduling feature, and you set it up the sequence, and every 15 minutes it updates destination. So you can have that update on an external database, but you will not do migration. It's not it's not a generic ETL tool. It's specific for OutSystems.
Noted. Okay, thank you. And we also have one question in the chat by Mr. Venkatesh. Can I migrate the data from OS 11 to ODC using DMM?
Oh, yeah, I get that a lot. Everything that DMM does is only things that the platform does not do by itself. So we are in close contact with the OutSystems development team, OutSystems themselves, so, and inclusively the people that are developing ODC and other tools like the migration tool. And so since OutSystems is developing that migration tool, then DMM does not have that capability, because that will be out of the box, and is out of the box made by OutSystems. What we have in our roadmap, because OutSystems told us they are not going to do that, is to deploy a DMM version for ODC. So for you to be able to migrate data between ODC environments. Currently, it does not work. We don't have that capability. It's just for the other versions of OutSystems, so O11, O10. There are still clients that have O10 in OutSystems, and it works for that, but not for the ODC environment. We are working on that. It's on our roadmap, and we are working with OutSystems regarding ways to directly access the ODC database, which currently is not available.
Noted. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? I invite people to use the Forge. Like I said, we have a free developer subscription if anybody is interested in trying it out. And also we have a free online course on data migration. And it starts talking about the OutSystems meta model, which was one question that was regarding the complexity of working in this higher abstraction. On this first module, we talk about exactly what exists at the low level of OutSystems. So if you are using another ETL tool to interact with your OutSystems database, I suggest you do this course, because on the first module, we talk about exactly where OutSystems stores the data, how it's referenced and everything. Then on the second module, we talk about agile development cycle and how best practices basically for a data migration project that you may have. Then in module 3, we introduce DMM with the use case that we haven't talked here, but it's basically importing data from non-OutSystems databases into OutSystems, so bulk importing. If you have like legacy apps you are replacing by OutSystems, this could be useful. And then the data migration across environments, which is the demo that I showed you. If you do all of this, you get a certification. It's free. You just register here on our site. And if you want, you can also be added here to a list that we have online of certified professionals. It's a way for you to show up here. And after taking the certification, if you want, just add yourself, and our marketing will add you to that list. Any questions? Well, regarding here,
Yes, yeah, yes, there are no questions.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
this was the end for me.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's nothing else that I wanted here to present. I think there's a lot. There are other use cases for the DMM to be used in different situations, like loading data into a data lake for analytics, for reporting, restoring backup data, for example. You are in the OutSystems Sparse Cloud, you don't want to restore the full database, just a part of the database, or you want to back up your data for more than the 15 days that the OutSystems Sparse Cloud guarantees you. You want to split your pipeline because you don't want to have critical applications together with non-critical internal applications. You want to migrate from your Oracle database into a SQL Server supported OutSystems database when people, or you want to go from on-prem to the cloud, or switching from the Singapore into the Indian data centers of OutSystems, some things that some clients, some partners used it. DMM is not is a tool. It's a subscribed tool, so there's no need for professional services. It's actually the only tool available in OutSystems for data migration. We never sell resources. We have over 70 partners, OutSystems professional services firms that basically use DMM in their with their teams across all over the world, all continents. So you can also ask to be included in this list, or you can just subscribe to DMM. These are reseller partners, so just basically use the tool in their projects and sell DMM to their clients, and they are doing the outsourcing for their clients.
Bruno, there's one more question. The question is, before importing prod data on UAT, should we clear UAT data first?
It's your choice. If you are doing it recurrently, like every day at midnight, I want to refresh my destination data, DMM has features in terms of data migration, which you don't need to, I think it was this configuration. It has a feature which allows you to incrementally do a delta. So you don't need to delete the data. You can just run DMM and it will just update the destination data. So it will insert records that were new records that happened in production. It will insert them in UAT. If there's a record that was updated in production, it will update that record in UAT. If it was deleted in production, it will delete that record in UAT. So that would be, I think, the most common use case would be just activate this flag of Delta migration, and you don't need to delete the data first. Obviously, if you want to do a full reset, so because if somebody created UAT data themselves directly in UAT, and they are going to use it, you don't want to delete it. But if you want just to have a replica of what exists, then yes, you can do a data deletion and then do a data migration. And the scheduling feature actually allows you to do one configuration after the other. So you don't have to do two configurations, you just select deletion and then the migration. And DMM does first the deletion and then executes the full migration.
And one more question, Mr. Bruno, not sure if you already answered it. Is there a possibility to add any logic, in the process of migration? Some minimal logic, say first name, last name. In the target entry, we have full names, so these have to be concatenated and added there.
Yeah, no. We don't have that capability. Okay. So data, you can do those anonymizations that I was mentioning. Yeah, but this is the full scope of changes that you can do. So it's not like an ETL tool that has those types of features. No.
No. Okay. Thank you. Right then. Any other questions, team? Okay. Yeah, if there are no questions, then I believe Bruno and Mr. Joao, you both are available in LinkedIn. So if you wish to know more about DMM, yeah, please.
Yeah, we are available just in an overall view. If DMM can be helpful to any of your cases, or maybe if you're curious about it, just let us know, and we are always available to let you know more about it.
Yeah, and if you want to try it from the forge, like I mentioned, just just deploy it. And actually, if you get the subscribe here in the sign up for the free version, you get like a link, an email with a link, and it gives you step-by-step instructions. It's like 5 steps or 6 steps to deploy DMM and configure and start using it. So feel free to just test it out.
Yeah, reach us out even if it's for setting up the free developer plan or anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I have pasted the LinkedIn profile URLs of Mr. Bruno and Mr. Joao. So if you're interested, you can very well reach them out over LinkedIn. So I guess then we are towards the end of the session. So thank you so much, Mr. Bruno and Mr. Joao, for your time and for your efforts. The session was indeed insightful, and especially with the demo, we were able to understand the capabilities of this component, DMM, and hoping that most of us get the opportunity to try that out in real time. And yeah, so thank you once again, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The DMM link is in the comments. If you want to check it out for yourself, feel free. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice evening. Bye bye. Thank you.